See, many of you here, you are pregnant with some ideas. I'm telling you what I know. I will leave here this afternoon, tonight, in 1 hour, doing what I'm doing now. In 1 hour, I'll earn in excess of $150,000. I had no idea that I had the capacity to do what I'm doing right now. You've got genius in you. You're made in the likeness and image of God. You've got greatness in you. You have some special stuff in you. You showed up with it. So as you look at your life and you decide to become a risk taker, make it okay to fail, to experiment, trial and error. Repeat after me, please. No test, no testimony. Yeah, you're going to face some hard times. When you decide that you're going to commit your life to Christ, you're going to, at that time, go through unadulterated hell. What's the first thing they say when you get on an airplane before they take off? Fasten your seatbelt. Why? Because you will experience some turbulence before you reach a comfortable altitude. Life was testing me when the man looked at me and said, "You have prostate cancer. Your tumor is too large to have the surgery. We're going to give you radiation seed implants." The most anybody's ever gotten was 90. They gave me 238. I went back 3 weeks ago. They checked my PSA level, which indicates the presence of cancer in your prostate area. 1 to 4 is normal. Beyond that is that you have cancer and it's spreading. When I first went a year ago, it was 6.1. When I went 3 weeks ago at Howard University Hospital, they gave me an MRI, it was 10.5. The guy said, "I'm sorry to tell you this." I said, "What do you mean?" "You're in the same situation that you were in when you came here." Here's something I heard. At Christ Universal Temple Church, at a restaurant, Bishop T.D. Jakes was praying for a lady in a wheelchair. And it's odd how things come to you. When he finished praying for the lady, I'm sure there were some questions were asked that weren't verbal, that if the prayer worked, why didn't she get up and walk? And what he said as he was walking away, healing takes first, he said healing takes place first in the spirit. It didn't matter about his numbers. It didn't matter about their diagnosis. Judge not according to appearances. You must have the faith to call forth those things that be not as though they were. Now, do you really believe? See, it's one thing to believe when you got money in your pocket. It's one thing to believe when your marriage is working out and you got your health and your children acting like they got good sense. Oh, it's good to say, "Oh, the Lord is blessing me." It's easy to believe then. Oh, but when you get that diagnosis, say you ain't gonna be here long. When you lose your job, when someone you thought you'd be with for the rest of your life say, "No, we can't do this no more," that's when you have to stand. That's when you have to begin to live this faith. And that's not on you. That's when you got to call on something. How do you let that mind be in you? You got to be out of your mind to believe in spite of these numbers you can still make it. In spite of the pain you're feeling, you can still come back again. You got to be out of your mind. That's right. I'm in that Christ mind. I believe it. And not when things are just favorable, not fair weather faith. And you've got to believe that. When you're going out here with your ideas, with your products, with your services, and part of being successful is you got to hold yourself to high standards. I use Bishop Jakes as a model. His people take care of you. He's thorough. Hold yourself to high standards, whatever you do. There's no saying, do not go where the path may lead, but go where there's no path and leave a trail. Treat people with respect. Treat them the way that you want to be treated. Tony, who's with me, who's been assigned to me, courteous, respectful, calls several times. Is there anything I can do for you? Can I help you out? That's first class service. If you decide to provide first class service, John H. Johnson, a book called Making Against the Odds, he said, there's no defense against an excellence that meets a pressing public need. When I decided to become involved in the motivational industry, I didn't have the money of a Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, of Zig Ziglar, of Tony Robbins, and all the other giants out there. I had the gift of gab. So what I did was I trained myself, I disciplined myself to read 3 to 4 books a week. First I started out a month. Now I've increased it with a reading system that I have. Mr. Washington said, Mr. Brown, yes sir. Do you want to make it? Yes sir. First you've got to develop your mind, young man, because you don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you are. Next, you've got to develop your communication skills. Once you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are. They said about Jesus, who obviously was an effective communicator, never spec a man. The reason that you're here is because no one can milk scripture and deliver a sermon that can transform your life and have you jumping up and down like you crazy, like T.D. Jakes. I'm home one day looking at this video my daughter gave me called He Called Me Son. Let me tell you something. By the end of that video, and I've never seen my father, when that video got to the end, I was going to the television and said, Daddy! Daddy, come back, Daddy! I pushed reverse and backed it up and said, Daddy! Let me tell you something. He just broke me down in my bedroom. All by myself. I would look around and see if anybody see me. That man crafted that message, you hear me? I'm crying like I'm at a funeral. I want my daddy. See, that's a gift. You hear me? That's a gift. People use his word anointed. This should not, only place I've ever seen it applicable is in his case. That's the only thing. I mean to tell you, I think I'm a good speaker, but this is a bad boy we got up in here. Words cannot encompass the symbolism of what we have the chance to see up in here. And yet, he's down to earth. I mean down to earth, wear all these little funny outfits he has. I mean, it knocks me out. And let me tell you what my daughter said to me. My daughter, my oldest daughter, is on his advanced team. She said, you know what? I was listening to Dion last night, and I think I'm going to call Bishop Jake's daddy too. I said, I wish you would. I mean, I will throw you out here right now and break his leg by calling him daddy. Now here's, I want you to write this down. Write down, take responsibility for your life. Take responsibility for your life. Now that's very important. Remember what Bishop said last night about Adam? Adam, when God asked him what happened, Adam did not want to take responsibility for what he had done. Men have always tried to escape that. Now, you know that we believe a lot in marches. Let me tell you something. Here's a march I like to enroll you on. I want 1 million men to march to a mailbox to give support payments. Just drop some support payments in the mailbox to children that you have helped to create, that you have been irresponsible and you're not taking care of. Don't give that money to the airlines or the bus stations or the hotels. Send that money to those mothers that are still there dealing with and raising those children. Own your stuff. Come here, owner. Where's my daughter? Come here, owner. I got a call 5 years ago from this person here. I happened to be at the office late at night. See, I believe in being open and being honest with you. And the call was, tell them what you said to me.
I said, if you had a child in this world that you were unaware of, a descendant in this world that you were unaware of, would you or would you not want to know?
What did I say?
You said, yes, I would want to know.
So I told her I wanted to know. And I said, send me some pictures. She sent me some pictures overnight. I saw this file. I said, that's mine. Sent one of my sons to pick her up. He drove her from Columbus to Detroit. He came in first, said, Daddy, my sister's right behind me. And we've been together ever since. And I'm not ashamed of her. I can't unscramble these eggs and don't want to. But I have to take responsibility that this is my daughter. And I take care of my daughter. Ain't she gorgeous? I'm trying to fatten her up. She got little legs. I'm trying to find a husband while we're here. Got legs so small you can sue him for non-support. That's why she's wearing pants. Well, okay, thank you, baby. Give her a round of applause, all right? Now, so the reason I'm telling you that we got to start owning our stuff as men. Don't make no big deal. Can you imagine what will happen if 1 million men decide to go to the mailbox and just unexpectedly drop just what you can? Don't have to have a return address in case they're looking for you. You don't have to put that on there. If you real behind, you understand what I'm talking about? I ain't said be no fool now. Now, the only reason I can put a return address on it is because I have an MBA. Somebody say, oh, I got you. I say you don't have a college degree. I don't. MBA stands for mega bank account. So anyhow, join me then. Don't tell me, well, I don't like her. She got an old man, or she don't need my money, or the children don't look like me. I went to court in the paternity suit with a friend of mine named Ronnie. And he went to the judge. The judge said, why aren't you paying child support? He said, the babies don't look like me. The judge said, well, feed them till they do. But as men, see, we can't teach our sons to be responsible if they don't see us being responsible, if they don't feel that we care. So don't say, well, I don't have it. Get it. That doesn't let you off the hook. Write down the next R. And that is not only responsibility, but be resourceful. A lot of men, I don't have it. I had it, I'll give it. If the women had that kind of attitude, the children would starve to death. The reason that they eat, the reason that they have some place to stay and to lay their heads and have clothes on their backs, because the women decide, I'm going to make it happen no matter what, and they're resourceful. My mama raised 7 without a man. She cooked. She cleaned houses. Here's something else that will cause you to reach your goals when you leave here. Write this down. Reasons, compelling reasons. While you're here, when you make this covenant with God, when you decide to live like a conqueror, when you decide to become more successful, to create wealth, to be a change agent in your community, what is it that can keep you on the straight and narrow, that will cause you to keep your commitment to your commitment? I used to do door-to-door sales with a man named Sam Axelrod. Sam Axelrod was intrigued by me because when he came to pick me up, he didn't have to blow his horn. I was downstairs waiting for Sam when he came around the corner. And unlike the men that work with him and other young people, when it got dark and Sam blew the horn, everybody ran to the station wagon. And they would do a head count. And they'd say, who's here? So everybody's here except Les. And they say, hey, Les, come on. No, I'm not coming, Sam. Why? I haven't sold anything. No one sold anything, Les. It's a long run from Liberty City to Overtown. You got to pass the 20th Street Sharks and the 14th Street Gang. The jitneys will stop running soon. I can't stop, Sam, until I sell something. See, my reason for going door to door is different than everybody else. Most people out there are trying to make some extra money to party on the weekend, or to buy a new outfit or a new bicycle. The reason that I was working was to take care of my mama. The reason that I was working is because I was working on Miami Beach with my mother. And she was working for a family called the Sidursky family. And one day when I was outside raking the yard, I came in, and my mother was on the floor, on her knees, cleaning up some grease spots that Mrs. Sidursky had spilt some grease. My mother was 56 at the time. She adopted us when she was 40. And I came in, my mother had arthritis in her knees. And I could hear her moaning at different times when she moved on her knees on this hard linoleum floor. And I said, Mrs. Sidursky, can I do that for my mother and you can have her do something else? She said, if it's all right with Mamie. And my mother said, no, son, that's all right. I said, no, Mama, it's not all right. I don't want you on your knees, Mama. Please let me do it, baby. And I helped my mother up. And Mrs. Sidursky said, Mamie, go in the other room and find that hat I was looking for earlier. And my mother went in the other room, and I heard her clapping her hands. I said, Mama. She said, what, boy? I said, baby, why are you clapping your hands? She said, don't worry, just keep on doing what you're doing. Then after a while, Mrs. Sidursky said, Mamie, maybe it's in the other room. Go look in there. Mama went in the other room, and sure enough, she started clapping her hands again, Bishop. I said, Mama, why are you clapping your hands? She said, didn't I tell you to pay attention to what you're doing? Then at that moment, Mrs. Sidursky came over. She said, I can tell you why she's clapping her hands. I said, why, ma'am? She said, well, because when I have domestic workers looking for something and they're out of my view, I make them clap their hands to make sure that they're not stealing. I put the scrub brush down and I stood up. I said, excuse me, Mrs. Sidursky. I don't mean any disrespect, ma'am. My mother raised us to say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. But my mother's a Christian. She would never steal from you or anyone. When my mama talk about your children, when she talks to her friends, she say, my children, the Sidursky children. She loves you and your husband and your children. She would never steal from you. And she just walked away. Later that evening, when we were riding across the Venetian Causeway, I was very quiet. And my mother noticed it. I was not my bubbly self. She said, what's wrong, son? I said, Mama, I wish I was a man. She said, boy, you're 16 years old. You'll be a man soon enough. I said, no, Mama. I want to be a man now, because if I was a man, right now, we would never have to wear somebody else's hand-me-down clothes that their children no longer want. I'll be able to buy clothes for my brothers and sisters and you. If I was a man, we would never have to eat anybody's leftover food that you cooked for. Because I'll be able to buy us groceries if I was a man. If I was a man, Mama, no one would ever have you on your knees cleaning up grease that they spill. And nobody would ever make you clap your hands because they think that you're stealing. If I was a man, Mama, I'll take care of you. She said, Mrs. Sidursky told you that, didn't she? I said, yes, ma'am. So if I was a man, you would never cook for anybody but me. My mama used to fix a kind of sweet potato pie that you couldn't eat with your shoes on. You had to take your shoes off so you can wiggle your toes. And when we would go door to door, sometimes as late as 10 o'clock at night, I would knock on the door. Who's there? Would you like to buy a nice working television set? No money down? Boy, are you crazy? Yes, I am crazy. I'm crazy about my mama, and I'm going to take care of her. And I'm going to sell a television set tonight, and it might as well be you. And after a while, somebody would say, come on in there, boy, and that better be a good set. What are the reasons? Write down why you're here at this Manpower Conference. Write down 5 compelling reasons of why you're going to keep your commitment to change your life. Keep your commitment never to go back to the life that you once lived. Keep your commitment to creating wealth for yourself, to taking care of your children, to be more responsible, to manifest Christ in you, in your life, in your community. Keep your commitment to live a life of contribution, to keep your commitment to be a conqueror and to act like it and to have authority and dominion over everything in your life. What are those reasons? I got on one of my tapes, if life knocked you down, try and land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. Your reasons will help you to get back up again. They'll be your rod and staff to comfort you. So you got to write down 5 reasons on everything that Bishop is saying and Bishop Merritt and all the different speakers and the relationship seminar that Brother Lewis Greenup will do. How you will incorporate the principles from this Manpower Conference in your life and live them and manifest them and support them. Now here's one second to the last thing. Let us say together, you got to be hungry. Hold on. Mr. Washington, Mr. Brown, what do you want to do? Well, sir, I'd like to be a disc jockey. Mr. Brown, if you want to be a disc jockey, you got to be hungry. What do you mean by that, sir? You've got to be willing to do the things that others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow others won't have. He said you got to work on yourself, develop your mind. You don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you are. Always strive to get on top in life, because it's the bottom that's overcrowded. You got to be hungry. I said, yes, sir, I'm hungry. I want to be a disc jockey, sir. He said, is that right? I said, yes, sir. He said, start listening to Paul Harvey. Start listening to people who are effective communicators. Be conscious of what you're saying and how you're saying it. Because how you express yourself, once you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are. See yourself as a radio disc jockey. Start working to get sponsorship. Start creating the radio format that you want. Start developing your personality. I said, wait a minute, sir. I said, I want to be a disc jockey. I don't have a job yet. And then he quoted Whitney Young. He said, it's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. You got to be hungry. So I started working to develop myself and developing my communication skills. I expected to have a radio program, so I created my formats. I started learning how to write commercials and do jingles. And then I came to him one day. I said, okay, Mr. Washington. He said, okay, Mr. Brown, remember, you've got to be hungry. You don't have a college degree. You have no journalism. You have no broadcasting. This is a very crowded field. It's very, very competitive, Mr. Brown. You're going to face no and rejection every day. But if you're hungry enough, the world will make a place for you. So I went to apply for a job on Miami Beach to Milton Butterball Smith, the program director. Hello, Mr. Butterball. How are you, sir? My name is Les Brown, sir. I like to be a disc jockey. You have any journalism in your background? No, sir. You have any kind of broadcasting experience? No, sir, but I've been training myself, sir. Let me audition for you. Let me show you how good I am. He said, I'm sorry, we don't have any job for you. I was discouraged. I went back and I told Mr. Washington. I said, Mr. Washington, they said no. He said, don't take it personally. Most people are so negative, they have to say no 7 times before they say yes. He said, you got to be hungry. Go back again. I said, yes, sir. Hello, Mr. Butterball. How are you, sir? My name is Les Brown, sir. I like to be a disc jockey. Weren't you here yesterday? Yes, sir. Didn't I tell you no yesterday? Yes, sir. Then why are you back today? Well, sir, I didn't know whether or not somebody was laid off or somebody was fired, sir. No one was laid off. No one was fired. I came back the next day. Hello, Mr. Butterball. How are you, sir? My name is Les Brown, sir. I like to be a disc jockey. I know what your name is. Weren't you here the last 3 days? Yes, sir. Didn't I tell you no the last 3 days? Yes, sir. Then why are you back today? Well, sir, I didn't know whether or not someone got sick or someone died, sir. No one got sick. No one died. No one was laid off or fired. Now, don't you come back here again. I came back the next day talking loud, looking happy, like I was seeing you for the first time. Hello, Mr. Butterball, how are you? He looked at me with rage. He says, go get me some coffee. I said, yes, sir.